Hey everyone, it's Deborah here, back in my jungle again. I wanted to make a couple of astrological videos for you just to explain a little bit about the components of astrology and how it can help you to figure out who you are, why you're here, what your purpose is, what your unique strengths and talents and weaknesses are, what your wounds are, etc. And what I want to discuss today was Chiron. Chiron is in astrology what we call the wounded healer. So every single one of us is born with Chiron in our natal chart. And when we look at our natal chart, it's the little key. It looks like a little key. And the sign in which Chiron is in will be the same sign as people who are around your own age, because it takes Chiron quite a bit of time to move through the signs, each of the zodiac signs. So we're going to share Chiron in a specific sign with people who are close to our age. However, the house in which it's in, so the area of life that you're going to experience that in, is going to be unique for you. And then also the aspects it's making to other planets, or other planets are making to it, is going to also give you your own totally unique flavor for your own chironic experience. So, Chiron, as I said, is the wounded healer. It is the area in life that we feel highly sensitive to. It's very much the kind of thing that we feel we're really good at helping other people with this, but we're not so good at helping ourselves with it. So it's the kind of thing like, why can I help everybody else with that, but I'm just not really good at helping myself with that. And it tends to be an area that we feel maybe a little bit victimized and feel a little bit like, why do I have so much bad luck in that? Was I a bad person? Am I a bad person? Did I just accumulate loads of karma? Why is this not working for me? Why can't I have this? We feel quite disempowered by it, and it's a really sensitive point for us. And when we know where in our natal chart Chiron is sitting and its condition and what's happening with it, suddenly we can integrate this into our life an awful lot more. We can just do something with it. So those unique wounds that we've come in here in this lifetime to learn, we can see that, for argument's sake, Chiron in Aries. Chiron in Aries can quite often be where a healthy Aries is like the impulse to do something. They just have an impulse, they go off and do it. They're very impatient. They just literally get on with the job. And they're very much in tune with their instinctual rhythms, their instinctual cycles, and their impulse to go. Now, as a child, if you've been, these are just examples, but if you've been heavily potty trained to a strict regime, if you've had, if you were told, sit down there and eat your dinner and you're not getting anything if you don't eat that, and like say you weren't hungry and you knew when you were going to be hungry you were not going to get anything, that's kind of like upsetting your natural rhythms and patterns as well. And these are just small examples, like really minuscule examples, but it'll show you how there's a wounding to that instinctual drive to be able to know your own patterns and fulfill them, and an inability to be able to reach out and fulfill your natural desires and instincts. Now, when we have that, we can probably help other people to help themselves and to fulfill themselves in specific ways, but we're just not so good at it ourselves. And the other thing as well is we might have we might blame, I blame my parents because they were really strict with me, or I'm going to blame my caregivers or auntie or uncle, whoever was in my life, or whatever it was that my natural rhythms and impulses, I was told to sit down and shut up, and I wasn't able to speak my mind whenever I wanted to. All these impulsive type things. Which aren't all specific to Chiron and Aries. There's so much to this jigsaw puzzle, people, but this is just giving you a taste of it. But rather than blaming it on my parents, my caregivers, whatever it is, once you see on, like in black and white on paper, on a screen, whatever it is, that your astrological birth chart already has Chiron in Aries. That's like a natural, normal expression for Chiron in Aries. Now we can kind of suddenly go, oh, okay. So if that was in my birth chart, did it mean that I chose to come in here to have that experience? Yeah, absolutely. And if your parents didn't give you that experience, somebody else was going to give it to you, because you came in here with a choice to have that particular unique experience. And this is said for even the heavier versions of the Chiron wounding. Okay, there's a lot of different ways we can look at Chiron. And the reason I'm saying this is because when we can see that certain things that happen in our life were part of our experience to come in and have that, we can now suddenly see that, okay, well, if it wasn't going to be my parents, it was going to be someone else, because I needed to have that experience. So where was I going to get that experience from? And what's the point of it? What's the point of coming in and having that horrendous wounding experience? Because if you didn't have it, and whatever the wounding is, if you just had a natural expression of Aries, and you acted on impulse and you did everything intuitively and instinctually, and you had that drive and all the rest of it, and it was unaffected, then you would never know the components that go into learning how to overcome that. And when you learn those components and the ingredients that go into making up how to have the healthier expression of that, then you can help other people. It's a little bit like your mess is your message. So where you have the wounding in Chiron is actually where you become the greatest healer for other people. Does it ever go away? To be honest with you, I don't know. I personally believe we can overcome anything. Will it keep coming back? Maybe. But the whole point with Chiron is when you learn how Chiron is operating in your chart uniquely and specifically, you can learn to integrate it, you can learn to accept it, because when we're rejecting and trying to fix and reject something away, we're not actually accepting that it's part of ourselves, and therefore you're giving a huge amount of energy to it and it's not really helping you. When you know that it's part of who you are, you learn how to accept it and integrate it and use it and work with it as your superpower, you can become empowered by it, and you can also empower others with it. It literally becomes your unique healing tool. So if you want to know more about your Chiron, I do astrological chart readings. I do 1 and 2 hour sessions. The 1 hour sessions are more general, kind of like an overview of your chart. We wouldn't get as deeply into things like North Node and Chiron. If you want to go deeper and figure out who you are, why you're here, what your unique strengths, talents are, your unique weaknesses, challenges and wounding, and talk more about Chiron, then drop me an email at deborahjsoulnavigation@gmail.com. Check me out on social media across Instagram and Facebook as Deborah J. Kelly. Drop me a comment below. Ask me any questions, whatever questions you have, ask me. You can download your chart on deborahjkelly.com as well if you want to see where your Chiron is, and to see what your unique experience that you've chosen to come into this world, and how it is that it's meant to aid you in your life and not unarm you. So I hope that this has been helpful. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Take care.